All in Sports Network. We love sports.
All right, here we are, live for the first time in the All in Mizzou era with Rogue Media. And man, this is going to be fun. What a fun afternoon. Kansas and Missouri played for the first time since 2011 this afternoon in Columbia, Missouri, and it lived up to it in every way. It lived up to it. There's a lot to get into, and obviously this is a daily show, so I can, I'll be able to talk about this throughout the week. But for now, I just want to give some of my instant thoughts on what is going to be remembered as a classic meeting between these two rivals. Man, games like this, you're watching and you're like, I cannot believe we haven't played this game in whatever it was, 15 years, 14 years. It's ridiculous. This needs to be a game every single season. I mean, the crowd was awesome. I heard that the atmosphere in Columbia was pretty amazing. I just, obviously getting the win is a huge deal, and the way that it happened was even cooler. All right, I mean, we'll get into this, but to go down 21-6, keep your cool, keep everything under control. I mean, come on. That's everything you want to see out of your quarterback, Bo Pribula. All right, let's get into this a little bit. Mizzou wins 42-31, and this was a thrilling watch for all 60 minutes. It really was. All 60 minutes, this one was, you're on the edge of my, at least for me, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. The first drive, Mizzou marches down and scores. Ahmad Hardy, kind of bounces off some tacklers, gets in the end zone. I'm thinking, man, he might run for 400 yards on this team. And then Kansas responds. And, it's starting to seem now like, can Missouri bounce back? To have the momentum, to give it all the way back, and to get it back is so difficult, and they did it. So let's talk about it here. Bo Pribula. My mom gave me a note that she had a key takeaway that she wanted me to express on here. And her key takeaway from this game, she said, you guys have a quarterback. And I agree. Bo Pribula looked awesome in this one. 30 for 39, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he didn't miss today. He really didn't. He had one, he had the fumble that turned into a touchdown for Kansas in the first quarter. But he didn't miss. He did not miss much throwing the ball. And he looked comfortable the whole time. Like I said, Mizzou goes down 21-6 in the first quarter. And he doesn't blink. He doesn't blink at all. He's nails. He made some throws. Just talking about him, just such a great showing. Yeah, I just think you've got a quarterback. After the Central Arkansas game, Missouri fans are excited because he looks really good. He looks, composed. He's making the right reads, making the right throws. But you wonder, what does this look like against a team that's a little bit better? And he gets thrown into it immediately. He gets thrown into the fire here with a rivalry game that, for both of these fan bases, is just so highly anticipated. The return of this game was huge. He steps up, his second start as a Missouri Tiger and delivers a performance that fans will not be forgetting anytime soon. Also, coming into this game, you're talking about another transfer from Louisiana Monroe. You're talking about Ahmad Hardy. And man, he looked really good. He did. He fumbled, they recovered it. By the way, Keegan Trost, what a recovery on that Ahmad Hardy fumble. But Hardy was great. 22 carries, 100 yards. That's his second straight game of 100 yards. He also scored a touchdown. But a guy that I wasn't talking about, I wasn't even thinking about him, Jamal Roberts. Like, when you bring in a guy like Ahmad Hardy, you're so excited to see a talent like that play that you don't even think of what else Missouri has there. And last year, Jamal Roberts played, he got touches, he got opportunity. And this year, I think he's making his case for this to be a split backfield. He wants his opportunity, and he got some today, and he did he took advantage of that opportunity. He had 13 carries for 146 yards and a touchdown, and he sealed it at the end with a big run. I'm, really impressed by the way they played today. Both of them were excellent. How long was it? That was a 63-yard run to wrap it up, to put a bow on it, to cue Mr. Brightside. So the run game was awesome. And, I thought the offensive line held up pretty well throughout the game. You're kind of thrown off a bit because Bengali Kamara, who was just he was awesome all game long. He was awesome. You didn't think he was going to play. I didn't think he was going to play. Not a lot of people expected him to play. And then I think it was Pete Thamel, tweets out that he's going to go through warmups. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I thought it was all kind of semantics a little bit, like pregame, Leipold having a little fun with Missouri, but he plays and he really did wreck the game. But I did think that Missouri settled in on the offensive line and turned in a pretty good performance. All right, let's move on to – I don't just want to go through the box score, and I'm not going to just look at the box score the whole time, but some of these guys, like Kevin Coleman Jr., he looks like another guy who wore number 3 here not too long ago. He was awesome today. He made so many tough catches. This is another thing that stood out to me today. Missouri's receivers have hands. Kevin Coleman had some big catches. Brett Norfleet had some big catches. The true freshman, Donovan Olabode, big catches. A one-hand catch on, 4th and 10? He brings it in, gets 2 feet in. It's a catch in the NFL. But, it seems like Pribula's found his guy, especially in these short yardage and high leverage situations. Kevin Coleman gets his touchdown. I think it was 4th and 3 in the red zone. They go for it. They find Coleman for a little quick pass. Easy, no big deal. But then there's a play later where you need to convert. And Pribula finds Coleman. He gets rocked and he hangs on to it, and the chains move. I think that I'm a Cowboys fan, so on Thursday night I watched my favorite NFL team play the Eagles, and the story of that game is your receiving core dropping passes that otherwise would have turned the game around. And Kansas had a case of that today as well. I forget who it was. A really brutal drop. Daniels put it in his hand, and I don't know. I don't know what receiver it was, but he couldn't come down with it. It couldn't have been a better throw. And Missouri's receivers, they don't make those mistakes. They haven't made those mistakes through 2 weeks now. I mean, it's consistency. It really is. You expect these guys to make really difficult catches. So that's awesome. That was another really fun thing to watch. I mean, I think when you lose guys like Luther Burden and Theo Weiss, you're wondering, what exactly is my receiving core going to look like? And it looks really good. I'll tell you that. Yeah, it looks really good. Some more of my biggest takeaways was that Missouri's defense, now it struggled at times, especially. There was a drive late, I think it was maybe early in the fourth quarter, where Kansas got everything it wanted. It moved the ball. Jaden Daniels had time. He was finding receivers that were just wide open. It was an 8-play, 92-yard drive that lasted under 4 minutes. Daniels totally had control of Missouri's defense. It seemed like they were playing some sort of really soft coverage, maybe a soft zone. They were blitzing a little bit, but not effectively. Really, there wasn't a ton of pressure consistently throughout the game. There were some moments where Missouri got pressure, but all around, I would say Kansas did a decent job with an edge rushing group that is very talented. So that drive, I started to get worried because up to that point, Missouri hadn't allowed a touchdown since the first quarter. But they marched down the field, and I'm starting to get worried. Man, this defense, maybe it's tired. I don't know. They're not getting pressure. They're leaving guys wide open. And then, they're nails. They're nails. After Missouri goes up 35-31, they need to stop. There's 4 minutes left. Daniels finds a receiver for 5 yards, another one for 2, and then I think that actually may have been where that drop was to Emmanuel Henderson Jr. maybe. But they get off the field in 3 plays, and then that sets up a huge Jamal Roberts touchdown run. So the defense, I think, deserves a ton of credit, especially when you look at what they did against the run. And Kansas has 2 really good runners, really good running backs, Daniel Highshaw Jr. and LaShawn Williams. Both were guys that I had circled to watch come into this game because they're good running backs, and there's 2 of them, and they can hurt you in a lot of different ways. And then on top of that, you have Jalen Daniels, a quarterback known for his mobility, a guy who can move. And Missouri allowed – all right, I'll start with this. Kansas run game. The Kansas run game averaged 246 yards per game in its first 2 matchups. Now, granted, those 2 matchups were against Fresno State and Wagner, 2 teams that Kansas should physically dominate, and they did. But nonetheless, 246 yards of running per game. And guess how many Missouri allowed Kansas to run for this game? And I had to double check this because this is pretty impressive stuff. Kansas rushed for 3 net yards. They rushed for 3 yards. It does not get better than that. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think it was actually 3 yards, but it was probably 28 yards. ESPN's Gamecast has – oh, you know what? Yeah, it was because of that fumble. Yeah, 3 yards, 19 carries for 3 yards. Jalen Daniels scored 1 running the ball. Daniels had 17 yards rushing. Highshaw Jr. had 11. LaShawn Williams had 0 yards rushing. These Missouri defensive tackles, you have Chris McClellan, Marquise Gracial. These guys are huge, and they were really good. And Gracial, I believe, punched out a ball from Jalen Daniels' hands. Kansas ended up recovering it, but, I mean, they were great. They were really good. Another guy on defense I wanted to point out, and it's starting to look like this guy could be a star on this Missouri defense, is Josiah Trotter. I mean, come on. He was an all-freshman Big 12 player last year with West Virginia, transfers over here. And, man, he's one of those linebackers. First of all, he's built like a truck. I mean, he runs downhill. He's a game wrecker, and he made 2 really huge tackle for losses in this game. His presence is felt all the time. All the time. And this linebacking group, man, you're starting to look at it. You have Josiah Trotter, you have Nicholas Rodriguez, you have Tristan Newsom, who played a lot more than he did last week. I was curious about whether or not his role was going to be different than what it was last week. Sorry, looking at this. But, yeah, I mean, this defense, especially that linebacking group, starting to look really scary. Khalil Jacobs, a guy I didn't even mention. Yeah, man. Good stuff by that defense for the most part. Obviously, there were some things that they need to work on, like in the first quarter when Kansas scored that touchdown, they brought, I think it was Cam Pickett maybe, faking a jet sweep. And Marvin Burks, the safety who's back there, came all the way down, concerned with Pickett motioning, and left the middle of the field wide open for a score. I don't know what my dog is doing over there. Anyway, but yeah, for the most part, I thought the defense played very well. I mean, it's just the magnitude of this game was so big, and it all comes back to me when I think about this game. What I'm going to think about when I think about this game is how great Bo Prabula was today, all game long. Didn't make any bad decisions. Just balled the whole time. I need to make sure that. Yeah, I mean, it was just awesome. I'm hoping this is live, actually. It's my first time going live on here. It could very well not be live, but nonetheless, it's recording, and it'll be out. But, man, a fun game. I'm excited to kind of get into it and break it down a little bit more as the week goes on. Just looking at my notes the other big thing that I haven't touched on at all. Two things that I haven't touched on that really stood out to me. One, Missouri's 4 for 5 on 4th down with 2 touchdowns. I think some of this not probably, at the end of the day, some of this had to do with Robert Meyer being your kicker. A true freshman, has never started a game. He kicked well. His first extra point was blocked, and he made a couple field goals. He kicked well. And I think Drinkwitz, leading up to this, mentioned that the game plan was going to stay the same as if Blake Craig were in there. But it's clear it didn't. I mean, they were going for it on 4th and 10. They were doing all sorts of stuff. And I think that's probably because you don't fully trust your kicker in this situation. The point of this, though, is that Missouri goes for it 5 times on 4th down. And they're not just 4th and 1, 4th and 2. You have like you have 4th and long. You have, a lot of different kind of situations where at some points I'm like, just punt it really high and pin him. Or at least trot him out there, try a field goal, see what he can do. But they go for it 5 times. They convert 4 of them. Every play. I mean, the play calling was incredible today. I thought Kirby Moore was excellent. But going 4 for 5 on 4th down with 2 touchdowns, one of them to Kevin Coleman, and then one of them. I mean, one of the biggest plays Missouri will have all season, probably a 4th and 1 with 4 minutes left, and it's a play action. You're going one way, throwing back another to a wide open Brett Norfleet who runs it in. Norfleet, by the way, this guy's a freak athlete. I covered this team last year for the Missourians, so I was at all the games. Norfleet does this thing where he just jumps over people. He hurdles people. I mean, he is 6'6", like 260. And he's just jumping over guys. He did it again today. I think that set the tone a little bit. But yeah, Prbula finds him on 4th and 1 late in the 4th quarter, wide open, runs 27 yards for a touchdown. And that gives you the lead. That's huge. He finished with 7 catches for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, watching him the past couple seasons, I remember that Arkansas game 2 years ago where he had 2 touchdowns. It's clear that he's talented and he can catch, he can run, he can move, he can block, he can do it all. He was great today. He really was. He was great. All right, last couple things before I get out of here. Sorry. One guy I didn't mention that did play really well defensively, Zion Young. When there was pressure, it seemed like he was involved in it. Obviously, he had that big-time strip sack that happened at the 25-yard line that somehow ended up in the end zone. One of Missouri's players may or may not have batted the ball 25 yards into the end zone. Who's to say? Who can tell? But Zion Young created that pressure, forces a fumble. That's 2 points for Missouri. He was awesome. And then you had Newsom. I mentioned him earlier. He had half a sack. Chris McClellan was credited also with half a sack. Looking forward now. Oh, another thing. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I think Missouri did a really good job not overcoming a very quick and very kind of shocking 15-point deficit. I think they also did a really good job of overcoming some calls that didn't go their way. And I'm not the guy to come on here and complain about officiating. I'm just not going to, unless my team loses. And then I'll come on here and I'll complain about officiating. No, I'm kidding. But, I'm not going to complain about the officiating, but there were some calls. Notably, the play Darius Smith was in on. Jalen Daniels was running. It looked like he was going to duck out of bounds anyway. Darius Smith goes for a tackle, grabs him by the shoulder, swings him around. It gets called for a face mask. I've looked at that thing. I looked at that video 5 times now, and I don't think he touched his face mask. Maybe he grazed it, but, his hand was on his shoulder, and he flung him down. And I don't know if, credit to Darius Smith for trying to finish a play. But it looked like he was going to duck out anyway. Daniels was going to duck out anyway. But Mizzou's called for the face mask, 15 yards. It's a huge kind of turning point. I think Kansas ends up going down and scoring. They overcame it. They were resilient all game long. They punched back. They punched early. They got punched really hard back, and they got up and they kept playing. And watching this game, my heart rate was up the whole time. I could not relax until I don't know, that the long touchdown at the end. I couldn't relax until then. But this is a game, man, where it was so close. These teams have to play each other every year. That's my main takeaway. It's too much fun. The fans loved it. It was a close game. Missouri ends up winning by 11, but it was really closer than that throughout. It was a game where, if the ball's, plays 7 inches one way or another, it's that can change the whole outlook of a game. And those are so fun to watch. Just the whole time, as a guy who went to Missouri and was obviously had a rooting interest. It was stressful, but as a, sort of a neutral fan who's watching that game, I mean, what a treat of a game. And I think they got to play every year. I'll wrap it up with some stats. I've already talked about some of them. Mizzou outgained Kansas 595 yards to 226 yards. Mizzou outpassed Kansas 334 yards to 223 yards. They outrushed Kansas 261 yards to 3 yards. And when I read that off, it's how is this not a game that Mizzou won going away? But that's what rivalries are. Both teams turned the ball over once. Kansas was only penalized twice for 10 yards. Mizzou was penalized 7 times for 70 yards. I did think Jalen Daniels was really good, and he's a scary quarterback to go up against because, there were times where in the backfield, Mizzou had guys back there, and I'm like, just grab him. But he slips away and he runs for 20 yards or whatever. He was scary. I think Mizzou did a really good job of not letting him use his legs. He threw the ball well. There were a couple very consequential plays late in the game, deep balls that he missed. He totally missed. One of them, someone got up in his, got pressure, and the throw was long, but he was pressured. I think the other one, it was a free throw that he just missed, and it would have been a touchdown to Emmanuel Henderson. Henderson had his man beat totally and completely, and Daniels overthrew him. And at the end of the day, I think those are the plays that hurt Kansas, missed opportunities. And Missouri didn't have many missed opportunities. They really didn't. Just a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to break it down more throughout the week. I'll have a show on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll talk Kansas, then we'll switch over to talking about the upcoming matchup with Louisiana. And then, man, after that, you're getting an SEC play. You got South Carolina coming to town. I don't want to look too far ahead, but Missouri right now, 2-0. A really good chance to go 3-0 next week against Louisiana. It looks to me like they've got a quarterback. My mom agrees they've got a quarterback. Really just a fun football game. The border war should be yearly. Stop messing around. I think both of these administrations now want it to happen yearly. Both coaches want it yearly. It's too much fun. It's got to happen every year. I think that's it for me. Just a super, super fun game that had me stressed out the whole time. Missouri overcomes. That's my theme. That's my theme. They overcame a lot early on. They punched back. That's exactly the type of team that you want. A team that will not lie down. A quarterback that will not lie down. And two badass running backs who are going to both be a part of this offense and both be really good. That's all I got. Thanks for joining. Q, Mr. Brightside, enjoy your week. Come back and see me here at All in Mizzou. Mizzou every day with Rogue Media. Thank you.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.